Tonight on CTV News at 5.
So if you took tips away, you would lose some really good servers.
Tipping point. Why some Canadians say it's time to stop tipping.
We've been looking through our records and trying to find out where it came from.
A history mystery, trying to uncover the story of a 126-year-old belle.
The orders just started coming in, and I've mailed them all across Canada the last couple weeks, and it's been amazing, the response.
Unique Easter eggs, how a mother-daughter duo is hoping to crack open a new tradition.
Well, the spring equinox is tomorrow, and some flurries are expected in the region to get the season started.
Live from the Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 5.
Good evening and welcome to CTV News at 5. I'm Stephanie Seacos. Maria Panapallis is off tonight. Thanks for joining us. First at 5 tonight, tipping point. Where do you draw the line when it comes to tipping? It seems like more and more places are prompting customers for some extra cash. And now a new survey suggests Canadians are fed up. As CTV's Ryan McDonald reports, some people think we should do away with tipping altogether. Ryan.
Well, Steph, it appears that's an opinion not quite as commonly held here in the Maritimes, though according to that survey, about 2/3 of people polled nationwide have reached, well, their tipping point when it comes to tipping culture. It used to mean a little something extra. Now, many feel it's become an expectation. In Sydney, even a 33-year veteran of the restaurant industry feels that tip creeping has gotten a bit out of hand.
Absolutely, because everywhere we tip now. Like I go to Tim Hortons and I go through a drive-through and I get 1 cup of coffee for $2.
According to a new study commissioned by H&R Block, about 2/3 of Canadians, 67%, are fed up enough that they'd be fine with getting rid of tipping for good.
Just because you're doing your job doesn't mean you need to be tipped for doing your job.
Even for bare minimum service, they expect 18-20%.
For many, PIN pad prompting is the problem. The data found that 89% of Canadians have come to resent businesses with tip prompts that they don't think are warranted, and 41% even avoid going to places they know have those tip prompts at the cash out.
More and more businesses having tipping options, and that's where a lot of that fatigue is coming.
The head of the Restaurant Association of Nova Scotia says most people still seem happy to leave a tip when dining out, and that around here it's considered part of East Coast hospitality. Adding that while prompting largely started during the pandemic to help workers out, she feels that its presence at so many places other than restaurants is causing a lot of that tip fatigue.
That's skewing that data because people are being prompted to tip where they've never been prompted before.
Back at his pub in Sydney, Artem Mofford says their PIN pad prompts include an option of no tip, so customers don't feel awkward or obligated. But he says if everyone were to stop tipping, his business would suffer.
People would leave the industry, and one of the hardest things right now is getting people to work in our industry. So if you took tips away, you would lose some really good servers.
And the survey data does suggest that, like it or not, tipping is probably here to stay.
Even though we feel annoyed by this question for the tip on the machine, 57% of us, so more than half of us, will give a tip anyway.
And Natasha Chestnut of the Restaurants Association of Nova Scotia says she does feel that there's still some value in those PIN pad prompts, at least at restaurants, because in many cases it encourages people to go above 15 or even 20% if they feel their experience was special, which she adds plenty of people are still happy to do, even if they're otherwise feeling some of that tip fatigue. Stephanie?
Thanks, Ryan. That's CTV's Ryan McDonald reporting in downtown Sydney. And that brings us to tonight's web poll. We're asking, do you think tipping culture has gotten out of hand? Your options are yes, no, or I never tip. Go to ctvnewsatlantic.ca to weigh in. Now it's time to see what's coming up tonight on CTV News with Todd Battis.
Hi there, Stephanie. A lot of people thought the saga of Dartmouth Cove was over. Well, a Dartmouth property owner has blocked access to a walking trail on the waterfront. A no trespassing sign is now up along Dartmouth Cove. The owner says this is due to a dispute with the city of Halifax over property rights. We will get an update on this and what it means in your newscast. A national credit monitoring agency has New Brunswick on watch. Right now, the province's credit rating is at a level A, which is considered high. But analysts say after this week's budget, it could change. That is significant. We'll tell you why at 6 o'clock. Maritime dentists are finding it more and more difficult to hire staff. There seems to be a shortage of hygienists and assistants, and it's a bigger problem in rural areas of the region. We will speak to one dentist tonight. She'll tell us just how dire the situation has become at 6 o'clock. Right now, let's head to the Weather Center. First, look at the forecast for the day. Kayla Mitchell with what's been a rather chilly day.
Yeah, it has been chilly, certainly, as far as the temperatures go. I guess it's sort of appropriate, though, because this is the last day of winter. Remember, we've got the spring equinox coming up tomorrow morning. Coming up for temperatures as we make our way into the early evening around the Maritimes. Most of them are sitting in the range of around a few degrees below to a few degrees above the freezing mark. It's reported as being a little bit colder up around the Charlotte airport right now, sitting at around -5. A little bit milder in some southwestern areas of Nova Scotia, where a few communities, including Yarmouth, sitting at 2 degrees and Shelburne sitting at 3. Here's a look at the winds around the region. They're variable in direction at the moment. They're mostly being sustained, though, between around 5 and 15 kilometers per hour. A few areas with some slightly breezier conditions. Parts of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, for example, a sustained wind right now at Lunenburg near 35 kilometers per hour. Other parts of the region are reporting a few gusts between approximately 20 and 30. As we take a look at things on radar and satellite, along with that mix of sun and cloud, we did have a scattering of some light flurries develop and move in off the Atlantic around central areas of Nova Scotia. And as we make our way through tonight and into tomorrow, there'll be some increase in cloudiness for the Maritimes and some flurries that'll be making their way over the St. Lawrence River Valley and into areas of New Brunswick. So that province will certainly have some flurries for Friday, and there'll be a lower chance that some of those flurries could reach parts of Prince Edward Island, areas of Nova Scotia. I'll talk more about that and look ahead to the weekend when I'm back a little bit later on. Stephanie.
Thanks, Kaylin. Time for our first break this evening. Coming up next, we'll have tonight's keyword for our festive France River Cruise contest. We also have this story a little later.
Hi, I'm Macombi here in Mount Uniacke, Nova Scotia. Coming up on CTV News at 5, this Easter, a mother-daughter duo crack open a greener tradition. They're creating eggs using reusable materials, something exceptional. Don't miss how they're turning these scraps into something extra special. Coming up.
It's the best night of the year. Join Jose Bautista, Brett the Hitman Hart, and Jennifer Botterill at the Desjardins Sports Charity Dinner April 16th in Halifax. Funds raised support Canadian Progress Club Halifax. For tickets, visit progressclubhalifax.ca.
There's Crosby on the backhand. He scores! Comeback complete for the captain.
Sidney Crosby had a goal and an assist in his return to the Pittsburgh Penguins lineup. Crosby missed 11 games with a lower body injury suffered while playing for Canada in the Olympics. Even though Crosby had a strong start back, it wasn't quite enough. The Carolina Hurricanes beat Pittsburgh 6-5 in overtime. CTV, in partnership with CAA Atlantic and AMA Waterways, is giving you the chance to win a festive France River Cruise. One lucky viewer will win a 7-night Flavors of Burgundy cruise for 2, where you'll explore iconic landmarks, medieval villages, storied vineyards, and France's culinary capital. Each weeknight from now until next Friday, we'll give you a key word. Once you have it, head to ctvatlantic.ca and follow the contest prompts, or scan the QR code on your screen right now. You can enter once per keyword. The winner will be announced Monday, April 6th. Tonight's keyword is scenic. Good luck, everybody. Children are getting the chance to explore the Gaelic arts. A unique March break camp is taking place this week in Cape Breton, and as CTV's Ryan McDonald reports, they're keeping the Gaelic culture alive, one lesson at a time.
It's a March break camp, unlike many others.
Is Misha Ian Gemakbek, Hamia Shock Blina Jieg.
17-year-old Ian Krill just introduced himself in Gaelic, but he's not here at the Gaelic College's annual March break camp just to learn the language. He's majoring in fiddle here at the school in St. Anne's Bay. In fact, he moved to Nova Scotia from Calgary about 5 years ago, largely to study Celtic music.
I've been doing the instrument of violin itself for well over 13 years. Fiddle is kind of where my heart ended up sitting. And the culture that ensued around that was, honestly, it's who I'm becoming.
So they can work on their fiddle or their step dance or Highland dance or bagpipes or piano or guitar or piping.
A little something for everyone, a good thing given there are roughly 100 kids here for the week-long camp. Some are from off-island, a few others from out of province. And while they're mostly here to have fun, it's also about keeping the culture alive through the next generation.
Kamarahaho.
And what does that mean?
How are you?
I got it. The proposed cuts in the arts and culture sector in the Nova Scotia budget are not lost on the people here either.
It's the intrinsic value that you can't put a price on as well. So we know it full well, the value of the arts and culture here, and we're big supporters of that.
Some of the older students are already thinking about how they might be able to come back and give back as grown-ups.
I would hope that someday I might come back as an instructor or even a part-time employee.
A camp with some culture. The final tunes play out on Thursday. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, St. Anne's Bay, Nova Scotia.
Still so many great camps taking place across Nova Scotia this week for March break.
And the Gaelic culture obviously alive and well in Cape Breton. Looks like a lot of fun.
Yes, and nice to be inside on a day like this.
It's a little bit chilly today, that's for sure. So as we take a look at our video just before the break, this is the effect that some of the rain and the snow melt that we've had over the past little while has had at the waterfalls at Victoria Park in Truro. We heard here at the station that they were roaring pretty good, and as you can see, that is definitely the case. I'll let you know about what we can expect out of some snow and rain coming up after the break.
The University of Oxford published its annual World Happiness Report today, and Canada ranks 25th. The report highlighted how life evaluations for people under 25 in Canada, the U.S., Australia, and New Zealand have dropped significantly over the past decade. Researchers point to heavy social media use as a key contributor to the decline in well-being for young people, especially teenage girls in English-speaking countries. Finland ranked as the world's happiest country for the 9th straight year, with several other Nordic countries also included in the top 10. And I know I'm feeling happier today, though, knowing it's the last day of winter.
I know. A lot of people are looking forward to some spring weather, but as we know, sometimes here in the Maritimes, that can still include some snow, and there is a little bit of snow in the forecast as we move into and through the upcoming weekend. Taking a look at things right now, though, we're looking out here at the Shubenacadie River for today at the mix of sun and cloud. The river water levels coming down a little bit after we had that heavy rain that moved through at the start of this week. Got to keep an eye on those springtime heavy rain events as well as far as the water conditions go for the rivers, streams, and tributaries in the region. Let's take a look at our weather systems map, see what's going on. So barometric pressure is on the higher side around all 3 maritime provinces, sitting above 1,020 millibars. The reason for that is we are close to an area of high pressure that's currently centered over Newfoundland. Now, in behind that, there is a low pressure system in western Quebec with a cold front that's coming down to parts of southern Ontario. Running out ahead of that cold front, there are some areas of flurries. Those are drifting towards the east and are expected to move into parts of New Brunswick as we move through tonight. Taking a look at things on radar, though, where flurries are present is around northern and central areas of Nova Scotia. These are coming in off the Atlantic, very light for the most part. As we take a look at our forecast timeline then, those flurries in the central part of Nova Scotia will be joined by some flurries moving into the northwest of New Brunswick by the time we get to the late evening hours and overnight. And by the start of the day on Friday, flurries more widespread for that province. There may be some accumulations in those flurries up to around 1 centimeter or 2. Now moving from Friday morning into Friday afternoon, those flurries drift towards parts of Prince Edward Island, north and western areas of Nova Scotia, but the coverage of them becomes more spotty as they do so. So for both of those areas of the Maritimes, for any given community, it's a lower chance of seeing one of those flurries tomorrow afternoon, maybe around a 30% chance or so. Should be some sunny breaks for New Brunswick, but as we make our way through Friday evening and Friday night, there'll be some snow that redevelops for that province. And this is part of a weather system that will bring a mixture of snow and rain into and across the Maritimes as we move through Friday night and into at least the first part of the day on Saturday. A complete turnover to some rain looks likely around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick and for much of mainland Nova Scotia. Still, initially in the snow, and for other parts of the Maritimes that see mostly snow from this weather system, there could be some amounts that range between around 1 and 5 centimeters. It is expected to be more of a wet, compact snow. Taking a look at winds of the forecast for tomorrow, they become southwest in the afternoon. They'll be breezy. There'll be some gusts between 20 and 40 kilometers per hour. Here's a look at our low temperatures in the forecast for tonight around the region. And low temperatures in New Brunswick falling into a range around -4 to -7, down to around -4 for Charlottetown and Prince Edward Island for tonight. And most of the low temperatures for Nova Scotia between -4 and -8, except for some coastal areas, which will have some low temperatures between -2 and -6. In the forecast for tomorrow, we do have temperatures that are going to be getting onto the plus side of the scale. Also around the low to mid single digits for New Brunswick, around 4 degrees for Charlottetown and Prince Edward Island, and high temperatures for Nova Scotia, mostly between 2 and 6. Quick look at Saturday's forecast. Once again, we do have that mixture of snow and rain that will be moving through mostly during the first part of the day, and behind it there'll be some high temperatures that come up to the range of around 1 to 6 degrees. All right, let's take a look at our weather watcher for tonight. And tonight's weather watcher is coming from 10-year-old Bailey, and this one's appropriate because Bailey has sent a drawing of a variety of weather conditions, and of course we can have plenty of days in the month of March where we basically see all of these all in one go. So thank you, Bailey. Great job. And weather watchers can come in anytime to CTV Weather Watchers, P.O. Box 1653, Halifax, Nova Scotia, B3J2Z4, or email kaylin.mitchell@bellmedia.ca. Stephanie.
Thanks, Kaylin. Halifax Harbour Bridges is trying to solve a history mystery. A 126-year-old brass bell sat in storage for decades, and as CTV's Paul DeWitt shows us, there's now an effort to uncover the bell's origins.
Hi, my name is Steve Proctor. I'm Communication Manager at Halifax Harbour Bridges, and we're looking for the public's help in finding the origins of this 126-year-old, 250-pound bell. It was cast in 1899, which is 17 years before the Halifax explosion, may have hung in a church, something like that. We're not sure. We've been looking through our records and trying to find out where it came from. Our first introduction to the bell is in the 1950s when it was on the bridge and it was used to sound a warning to boats that were passing underneath the bridge, and was basically forgotten. And then 6 years ago, a maintenance crew was working on the bridge. They've seen it many times. So they said, let's find out more about that. They tied a rope around it securely, pulled it up to the deck and said, what is this bell about? And they thought, well, this is probably an important piece of history. We should do something with it, do an exhibit. Other priorities come along, and it ended up in a closet for 5 years. We brought the bell out, and I said, we got to figure this out. So even though we don't know what it is internally, we'll reach out to the public and see what we can find. So there's lots of theories about the bell. I'm partial to the idea that perhaps it was out of one of the churches that were destroyed in the Halifax explosion. The timeline is quite right. It's a Manili bell. There were lots of Manili bells in churches in the North End. I think it's important to note that this is a really early bell in the history of Canada. If you think about it, Canada was only 30 years old when the bell was cast. Laurier was still the Prime Minister. So if we could get a lead from where it was before it ended up on the bridges, that would be a story, add to the story of Halifax. We're reaching out to the public on social media and however they want to get to us. If you have information, and we'll see if we can come up with the full heritage of the bell.
Halifax Harbour Bridges is looking for any photographs, documents, family stories, or leads that might help trace the bell's journey. We have a link with the contact email up on our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Time for our final break this evening. Coming up next, something extra special. A creative and sustainable way to make your Easter a little more colorful. That's after the break. A sustainable option for Easter egg hunts this spring as a mother-daughter duo create eggs out of fabric. CTV's Emma Convey stopped by to learn how it all works.
It begins with a simple choice of fabric.
So these have been really popular.
Then it's on to tracing, cutting, and sewing each one together.
One piece that's 6 inches long and one that's 6.5, and I just stack them together.
Creating a fillable, reusable fabric Easter egg.
I probably sewn and mailed out probably 800 or 900 eggs, which is unbelievable.
Tanya Neary first started Oh Sweet Madeline, a handmade sewn goods and clothing business, back in 2008. The name was inspired by her daughter. Eggs were something she thought of a few years ago, but this year their popularity peaked.
I was a stay-at-home mom. I still am, but I was looking for something to do. So I started doing felted sweaters, and I would buy little packets of scrap fabric off of Etsy and make little pouches, and I started attending markets, and then over the years it just kind of grew. And
in 2023, her daughter Madeline came on board to create and strengthen their social media following, and the business took off.
Last year, we had a viral TikTok that reached 300,000 people about the eggs. And then again, this year I posted in a Made in Canada group, which reached 200,000 people, got 1,700 likes, and the orders just kept coming in.
They have everything from floral to nautical to animals and bright colors. Each one is $2.50 at markets and online. But for them, it's also about sustainability and supporting local.
It's just a nice alternative for people, and they're cute, and you don't have to worry about them breaking into tiny pieces and ending up in the landfill.
Every egg they create, their family's bond strengthens. Madeline says she's proud to help push her mom out of her shell.
Definitely makes us closer, and we're both we may butt heads sometimes, but we still love each other.
The mother-daughter duo plans to continue to crack new records one stitch at a time. Emma Convey, CTV News, Mount Uniacke, Nova Scotia.
Emma actually brought some back too, and they are so nice.
I know. We got all the themes on here. There's some nice spring themes as well, and nautical.
Yes, I have some nautical in here, little sailboat. They're great. What's coming up though tonight at 6? This is coming up for Easter.
Yes, that's right. So coming up at 6, we're going to talk more about the weather as we move into the weekend. We do have a couple systems moving through, both of which packing a mixture of snow and rain.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks for watching CTV News at 5. Your national news starts now.